Grandfather! Please. Please say something.
Diana.
What is it?
You're on my hand.
You know how they say third time's the charm? Well, that wasn't the case with this game. Lost Planet 3 is a third-person shooter developed by Spark Unlimited for Xbox 360, PS3 and PC, published by Capcom. This game could have been something great and even become a major franchise for Capcom with this entry, but it just ends up being average most of the time.
If they stick to the plan, they should be miles deep before another punches through.
Good.
Now, the story is hands down the best thing about Lost Planet 3, detailing what happened to the first colonists of EDN-3 and how the Nevek Corporation became the series' mainstay antagonist. You play as Jim Payton, an independent contractor hired to assist at the Coronis facility on EDN-3, with their efforts to harvest the planet's main resource, T-energy. But it soon becomes apparent that not everything is as it appears on EDN, paving the way for a great deal of engaging intrigue and mystery.
Dealing with the cold mile life became the new routine. Intense is real, but routine. I kept my sanity and wits by not thinking too deeply about what I was seeing and doing.
As far as protagonists go, Jim is actually really likable. With his down-home, southern personality and laid-back attitude, he genuinely feels like a guy who's simply just doing his job, albeit in a hostile and intense environment. The other characters are brimming with personality too, and while they never get any real fleshing out, they're still believable and likable.
A right good sort, those guys. Even LaRoche, for all his bluster, had his moments.
Graphically, this game is beautiful. Running on the Unreal Engine 3, I got a constant 60 FPS on my laptop, and the first time I walked down to the frozen planet surface, I was blown away by its quality. Something that's really helped by the game's art style. The look and feel of Lost Planet 3 during its quiet moments is very reminiscent of Aliens and The Thing. Something that the designs of the series' acrid enemies complement rather well. It can be argued though that this is an unoriginal art direction, but there is no denying that it does work, given that this is a prequel to the entirety of the Lost Planet series, and you are an outsider among other outsiders coming to a foreign and alien place. Unfortunately, the immersion made by the graphical quality is only fleeting. When I found out that the game is broken up into different areas that require their own load times, this gave a real hairline fracture to any sense of immersion the graphics could produce. The game would have been so much better if it was just open world through and through. The gameplay is a pretty standard affair. It's third person, you have cover, and you get behind cover, and you do or do not shoot the bad guys. This works as intended, and thankfully there's a good variety of weapons to use, as well as good enemy variety as well, but you'll rarely use anything other than the assault rifle. It does decent damage, pretty much covers all ranges, and once you get the extended mag, it can house a good amount of ammo. You'll also be traveling from the base station of Coronis into the open areas of EDN-3, not only for the story, but also to perform secondary missions for rewards, and to better understand the game's world. Personally, I didn't find much of a need to explore or do the secondary missions, and the resources you get from just sticking to the main storyline are enough to see you through. But there is another dimension to the gameplay. You see, you can also pilot a giant mech. Jim has access to a construction mech called a rig, which, because of Nevek regulation, can't have any guns. So instead, you gotta fight Acrid in hands-on melee combat with construction equipment, and it sounds more exciting than it really is. See, while it is cool that you can freely leave and re-enter your rig at any time, and even swap out the soundtrack for your own personal songs, the only times the mech is really needed is when the game lets you use it, or when you just want to take enemies on with no effort, either walking on them or just grabbing them with your claw and then crushing them. You quickly realise that even with upgrades, there really isn't much to the mech combat, which is a huge problem with the boss fights. Aside from some of them getting recycled, whenever you go up against a giant Acrid, you're either going to be dodging their attacks on foot and just shooting their glowing weak points, or you're going to be in your rig matching quick time events constantly so you can deal damage and kill the boss. What should have been the highlight of the game just ends up being a chore that quickly loses its appeal. In In fact, the entire game just feels like it's lacking polish in general, with some parts of the level geometry Jim or his rig can't even walk over, some pieces of environment decoration just get reused, or how some of the enemies have these special attacks that put you into these struggle sessions with a QTE, which, while creative, slow the game's otherwise fast-paced combat down to a crawl. Whenever Jim uses his zipline, he feels less like he's travelling around at high speeds, and more like he's a sack of potatoes that's being delivered. The game also packs a multiplayer mode sporting 4 modes: Team Deathmatch, Extraction where 2 teams fight for resources, a 2-team challenge mode called Scenario, and a unique take on Horde mode called Acrid Survival. I've only been able to play 1 match of Acrid Survival, and I gotta say, I wasn't impressed. It was just me and some other guy who went on to annihilate me when he got an extra guy on his team, making it 2-on-1. And when I tried to play the other modes, couldn't find anything. Now, I live in Australia, and we've got some pretty shoddy internet over here, thanks Turnbull, so that may have been the reason why I barely found any matches. But there's an even greater chance that barely anyone's playing this game's multiplayer. Lost Planet 3 is far from a bad game, but it's not a good one either. It's full of creativity which some extra polish really could have brought out and made the game better as a whole. Hell, because of its creativity, I saw what Capcom could do if they decide to make another Lost Planet game. Give it an open world, add in different environment types like in 2, add in survival mechanics that change based on the area you're in. That would be awesome! But as it stands, Lost Planet 3 is just an average game with flashes of creative brilliance. It's only worth playing if you're curious, in all honesty.
Of course not. Let me tell you why I'm here. I'm here for the human race. Not just for my son's future, but for all the children of Earth to escape extinction. And there is no...
Hey, thanks for checking out this video, really appreciate it. If you really like this video, how about you check out some of my other game reviews, or maybe some of my movie reviews, and I've got a bit of an announcement in regards to my game review schedule. I'm changing it from 2 a month to just 1 a month. I'm really struggling to meet the 2 a month quota I've set for myself, so yeah, from now on it's just going to be 1 a month, but I'm still going to do other first impression videos for different games outside of those primary game reviews.